Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be continuing our AFL 2023 3-game match reviews for the 2023 AFL season. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the first games from round 8 of the 2023 AFL season. And those games are Carlton VS Brisbane, Richmond vs West Coast and Geelong vs Adelaide. Alright, so the first game this round was Carlton vs Brisbane to kick off round 8. And to say the least, it was a very interesting contest. Carlton 11-8-74 got beaten by Brisbane 15-10-100. Brisbane won by 26 in the end. But it was a very exciting first quarter, just a bit of a shootout at times. Despite Carlton kicking 3 goals in a row to take the lead, but in the end Brisbane managing to regain some momentum. In the second quarter, it was both sides that had a bit of a run, but yeah, it was definitely Brisbane that had the better quarter. They kicked 2 goals to Carlton's 1, which dried the game up a little bit. In the third quarter, that's where the game was lost for Carlton. 0 goals to Brisbane's 5. They had a pretty convincing lead. And despite Carlton looking like they might make something happen late in the last, Brisbane in the end held on for a nice win, despite Carlton kicking 3 of 4 goals that started off that last term to make a late push, but in the end it was too little too late. They couldn't quite do enough to get the job done. Josh Dunkley, 172 fantasy. That's a pretty big number. 1 behind, 33 disposals, 11 marks, 13 tackles. Well, no wonder why you're getting big numbers in the fantasy if you're doing that kind of stuff. 130 fantasy for Chera, 129 for Doherty, 114 for Berry, 109 for Walsh, 103 for Akers. Goals behinds, 4 goals for Cameron, who's been so damaging this year for Brisbane. And if it was any small forward that would be a chance to win the Coleman medal, it would definitely be Charlie Cameron. He just performs week in, week out. He is just so dangerous, Charlie Cameron. 4 goals for Bailey as well, who popped up at some critical times. 2 goals for Danaher, Gunston, Durden, Motlop, Colonel and Mackay both held to a goal each, and if you can do that, you can stop Carlton. 33 disposal for Chera and Dunkley, 29 for Akers and Doherty and Berry. Marks now 11 for Dunkley, 8 for McGovern, 9 for McGovern, Berry, Payne. Tackles 13 for Dunkley, 8 for Walsh. Hit-outs 48 for Pinnett, 29 for McInerney, 2 for Young, Kerno, Danaher, 1 for Mackay and Silvani. Team stats now, where inside 50s were locked at 47-47, but when going inside 50, Brisbane were the better side. Carlton also had way more footy, but it does go to show that sometimes you don't need footy if you want to be damaging, like what Brisbane showcased. Clearances were pretty even. Centre clearances 14-10, Carlton 28-33, stoppage clearances Brisbane. Carlton did have way more uncontested footy, plus 50, but again though, it depends on where you have it on the ground, which can really determine how well you'll go. 8-12 marks inside 50 in favour of Brisbane. Brisbane did lead for most of the game, and despite being a very interesting first half, in that third quarter, that's where Brisbane kicked away and definitely deserved to win the game from there. Alright, now to the first game on the Saturday, Richmond vs West Coast, the MCG. Now, nobody really went into this game thinking this was a danger game for Richmond. And, well, it was only before the opening bounce after the first few minutes which we actually realised this is a danger game for Richmond. And Richmond 15-14, 104, smashed West Coast 8-10, 58 by 46 points. But West Coast were in it due to Oscar Allen, but when he went off injured, they just went falling apart, did West Coast. It was a very even first half. West Coast had the better first term. In the second quarter, it was quite split, but 4 goals to 2. Richmond did have the better. And again, inaccuracy early for Richmond did put them off like 10-12 at 3-quarter time compared to West Coast 7-6, which the third quarter is probably the more interesting quarter. For half of it, West Coast were in it, including taking the lead right there. But 1, 2, 3, 4 Richmond goals just sets the G on fire. And that is where the Tigers can blitz away. And in the last quarter, 5 goals to 1. They continue on their merry way to a very nice win, Richmond. And as soon as Oscar Allen went off, it was doom and gloom for West Coast. 137 fantasy for Bolton, 111 for Taranto, 117 for Taranto, 111 for Hopper. So their big 2 recruits getting in again and having big impact on this game. They need to as well. They've been under a bit of fire this year from multiple people. And this game was a great response for both of them. 111 fantasy for Sheed, 106 for Martin, 102 for Shorts, and Jermaine Jones, 101 for Duggan, 96 for Kelly. 4 goals for Allen. As soon as he went off, it was doom and gloom for West Coast. So I said he was the only one that kept him in the game. 3 goals for Bolton, Prestia, 2 goals for Taranto, and 1 goal for the fellow recruit Hopper. Hopper 32 disposals, 31 for Bolton, 30 for Taranto and Jones. 29 for Kelly, who's having a breakout year. 29 for Dom Sheed. Also, marks 9 for Duggan, 8 for Baker and Bolton. Tackles 9 for Short. Hit out 31 for Ryan, 28 for Williams, 20 for Miller, 1 for Waterman, 1 for Darling. We'll go through team stats now where, again, it was a domination inside 50. Once Richmond got off and rolling, they were unstoppable, 65 to 43 inside 50 as they were getting back to their best, were Richmond after midway through that third term. That's where they, again, just started to absolutely dominate. West Coast won clearances, those 37-45. Centre clearances looked at 13-13, but stoppage clearances 24-32. Not too much more looking interesting at the moment. West Coast took more marks, but marks inside 50, 15-9 in favour of Richmond. Richmond did lead for about 2/3 of this game, and in the end, after West Coast really did take it to them, once Oscar Allen went off, they flew away to a comfortable win. Alright, now to the last game, this 3-game match for Geelong vs Adelaide at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong 14-14, 98 defeated Adelaide 11-6, 72. Geelong won by 26 in the end. After Adelaide fought hard for most of the afternoon and kept themselves in it for most of the contest, but in the end it was Geelong that were the better side, again winning by 26 points after the Crows just did not stop, and after Geelong were inaccurate 14-14 at the end of the day, the Crows were a bit more accurate this week, but again, Geelong could have easily blown them out of the park had they been a little bit more accurate. It was a very inaccurate first quarter, though, for both sides, 2-6 to 2-4. Second quarter is where the goals came. Adelaide got 4, Geelong got 6 to extend their quarter-time lead to make it 16, I believe it was, at the main break. In the third quarter, 2 goals to 2, so again, very even contest. But Adelaide was still hanging around. They were just hanging around that 20-point margin for most of the afternoon. In that last quarter, Geelong threatened to build off a lead. The Crows threatened to come back with 2 goals in a short period of time, but the Cats kick a few more at the end of the game to close off the game, close the gate, close the door shut, and go on their merry ways with a nice win. 116 fantasy for Dawson, 107 for Laird, 106 for O'Brien, 100 for Holmes, goals behind, 3 goals for Walker. 3 goals for Walker, 3 for Cameron as well, 2 goals for Simpson, Rankin, Pedler. Disposals now 29 for Dawson, 24 for Stewart, 24 for Smith. We'll go marks now, 11 for Kolajasny, 8 for Radigali and Stewart. Their defence line was under siege a lot today. Geelong was under a lot of pressure. However, in the end, though, they did hold strong. 14 tackles for Laird, 8 for Holmes. Hit out 38 for O'Brien, 37 for Segler, 11 for Thilthorpe, 10 for Blitzarves, 3 for Hawkins. We'll go team stats now, where 53 to 44, 53 to 46 inside 50 in favour of Geelong. So they did win that area, not by a massive amount, but by a little bit. Clearances are in favour of the Cats. Centre clearances 8 to 12 for the Crows, but 34 to 25 stoppage clearances for the Cats. Not too much more looking interesting at the moment. Marks 90 to 76. The Crows, believe it or not, took more marks inside 50. But the Cats did lead for most of this game, and they did deserve the win. But Adelaide, they did give them a very good run for their money, showing that they are going to be able to take it up to some of the best sides in the competition, no matter where it's at. At Heritage Bank Stadium right now, thriller at the moment is being played out between Gold Coast and Melbourne. One side may pick it up and walk away with it in this second half, but at the moment it looks to be a good game. Melbourne lead it by 7 after we've had a few, not lead changes, but we've had a few little interesting parts in the game where the D's have gone out, Suns are kicked back, D's have gone out, Suns are kicked back, so this is going to be an interesting finish. What footy is left to come? Well, obviously, Gold Coast and Melbourne, the end of that game's coming up. 2 big Saturday night games, GWS versus Western Bulldogs and Fremantle versus Hawthorn. There's some definitely real danger games for most of these clubs, and this should be 2 great Saturday night contests. Sunday does look to be a very interesting day of footy, to say the least. Probably the best game of them all. Port Adelaide versus Essendon, Collingwood versus Sydney, North versus St Kilda is a Sunday action of footy. We'll go the ladder now, and at the moment, this is how it stands. I'll put on the live ladder in just a moment. This is how it stands before the live ladder, and now with the live ladder on, that is how it will stand. Should Melbourne defeat Gold Coast, that is how the ladder will stand. So there we go, 3 very interesting games to start round 8 of the 2023 AFL season. If you're wondering why this video is a little bit shorter as well, I'm trying to make these 3-game match reviews a bit more watchable, a little bit shorter. That is my aim. Thank you guys, it was so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. So then you guys, and then miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys, it was so much. Bye everyone, Flame Footy out.